This is a quick note, and this is a disclaimer to all our viewers and all our listeners that anything we speak on, this is not geared towards anybody or trying to knock anybody or put anybody down. We truly speak off experiences and our real life, experiences. We just two regular guys that's trying to hustle, trying to make, better for ourselves, our families, and the next generation as well.
And we also know, we got listeners coming from different backgrounds, coming from different fields. So, we're not really trying to knock anybody, not trying to offend anybody. We're just giving our opinions on what we feel will be best for anybody that's looking to make a better lives for themselves out here as an entrepreneur, and to try to make a better lives out here for their family and friends. So, tune in. Hey, how y'all doing? This is Kashif Edwards.
And Armandi Marshall.
Welcome back to our third episode of the Vending Biz, How to Gain Wealth and Financial Freedom. Today we'll be speaking on education. So is education important or an important factor when it comes to gaining wealth and financial freedom? And what you got?
As far as with me, the education system to me, I don't think it's important.
Well, let me ask you this first. So what's your level of education?
My level of education is a high school graduate. I have my degree in business management and recreation management, business marketing and recreation management, dual major, and my master's in healthcare administration.
All right.
How about you?
All right. So mine is obviously high school. Then I also have a master's in sports management. My undergrad was sociology. All right, so as far as education, what do you believe that do you believe that was an important factor when it comes to people trying to be, entrepreneurs? Was it an important factor for you during your journey?
I would say no, because it's nothing that I'm not gonna say it's nothing, but it's not too many things I've learned in school at any level that applied to me using within a business structure, besides like your basic, your math and your reading, the stuff that you have to do. As far as what I went to school for, or even what I went for my master's, it wasn't nothing that that helped me in the entrepreneurial aspect. It was more so geared towards whatever that field was, to whether it was for testing standards, or whether it was for for me to have a job within that field. It didn't help me far as in the business aspect.
All right. I think for myself personally, I'm not a big believer when it comes to traditional education that is like extremely helpful. I do think you need it on a basic level of high school, elementary school, like that. That part, as far as higher education goes, when it comes to college, I'm not a huge believer that it's something that you need. But we'll get into it a little bit more in a second. I definitely think this is an important topic for anybody who's looking to become an entrepreneur. Maybe they're younger. I know I have some younger people around me who are, trying to figure out if they wanted to go to college, or they wanted to join the army, or they wanted to start a business, or it's different factors. And if people are in different places in their lives, and they might be looking for advice, so we definitely gonna give what we know and try to help some people out. So when it comes to, let's start with the positives. When it comes to something positive that you got from school, like let's drop some positives. What are some positive things in there that may have helped you out?
Definitely experience. Just the experience of being on your own, learning how to live on your own, because that's really your first time in your life,
Facts.
Growing up.
Facts.
Where your parents don't dictate anything you're doing.
Were you off the chain?
Yeah, you off the chain, and this is literally make or break. This can make or break you, because
right.
I done came in with a class of 100 kids, and I done graduated with probably 20 of those same kids.
Right. Facts.
That I came in with.
So it give you a chance to really learn yourself and figure out who you are.
Yeah, you definitely learn yourself, figure out who you are, and along with that, you know, you have networking, you know, building connections and meeting different people. And honestly, that's one of the bigger things. Don't you agree? As far as one of the positives with
Yeah. I think the life experience is definitely a major positive because you really get a chance to see who you are as a person. I know for me, when I went to college, it was like, you know, I wasn't even I ain't care nothing about no schoolwork. I went to school on like basketball school. I ain't care nothing about no basketball.
me too.
I wanted to go up there, get a couple shorties, like, you know what I'm saying, come and go when I please, and just, you know, feel like what it was like to be adult, like, you know, because that's as close as that you get. You know, for some people, you know, you might be on your own for 17, whatever, 15, depending on your life situations. But I know for most people, it's like when you go to that college level, which is when you really become independent. And I went to school far. Like, I went to school 7 hours away from where I lived at purposely. Like, I really picked one of the further schools on purpose, mainly because I wanted to be, you know, independent. I wanted to learn independence. And I just wanted to be away from some of the distractions that I had at home. Like, I wanted to be away from a lot of my friends and stuff. Even though, you know, I know I'm going to miss them. I know I want them to be around. But it's like I also know I got to stand on my own and figure this out. Like, and if you got too many distractions around you, it's hard to do that. You know, because I witnessed some people, like, who played, I'm talking about basketball right now, who played for their home school, like their home colleges, their home universities, and they, you know, when they fell off or they had some issues, mainly because it was a lot of their friends were still hanging around and it's got them in trouble.
Yeah, he still was home. He never got out of that environment.
Right. Like the what's the kid name? What's the kid name? It was real tough from Philly. Played ball. Rashid Jordan, I think his name was. Now I don't really watch sports that much. I never really watched it to begin with. I don't really watch it that much now. I just played, like, so I think Rashid Jordan is a good example of that because he was, you know, one of those kids. At least I can think of off the top of my head. He was real tough, but then he just got caught up in the wrong crowd, hanging around, you know, bad people. I just felt like when you go further and further away, it kind of isolates you and you just stuck with yourself.
Yeah, and speaking on the basketball thing and even in school, and this is how you know there's a kind of a broken system. You know, my first year in school, I had I believe a 1.1 after my first year of the school. But you know, the crazy thing about it is, you're eligible to play.
Right.
Like, you need a 2.0 to stay in school, but you eligible to play. I believe that first year is a 1.6, I believe, for your freshman year. So I had to redshirt my first year, and I had to work my way up to a 1.6 just for me to play. So my first year, I was really playing on a 1.6 GPA, you know, and I was on academic probation, but I still was eligible to play.
But you know what's crazier? I didn't know what my GPA was until my last year when they said, hey, you need your GPA needs to be this in order for you to graduate. I was like, damn, I didn't know. The rest of and I went to school for 5 years. Like, you know what I'm saying? That first 4 years, I didn't know, like, what my GPA even was. I never paid attention to it, like, because I was just there, really just to play ball, like, you know what I'm saying, and get my degree and go about my business. I never really had an interest in really trying to learn something. Because when I went to school, I wanted to go to school for. This is another good point. So to cut that off for a second. Anybody who's looking to go to school or to go to any, you know, university to get an education, it should be something that makes sense. Like, so if you want to go to be a doctor, if you want to go to be an engineer, a scientist, something like that, that's stuff you have to go to school for. Like, I got people who come up to me and tell me they going to school for business. I don't get that. I don't know why you would go to school for business. You don't need a business degree.
Or art.
Yeah, or art. Like, yeah, but that's different, whatever.
Yeah.
But you don't need a business degree to have a business. So if you're interested in starting a business, you don't need a business degree for that. Now, if you want to go work in the business field, you might need a degree for that. But then again, you don't. Like, if you got the skill, they just going they would know you have the skill, and they going to base it off of that. And 9 times out of 10, with those type of jobs, you have to start from the bottom and work your way up anyway. No matter what degree you have, unless you have some type of connections, which is, what you said, networking or whatever that comes into play too. But yeah, to finish my statement, what was I saying again on that piece?
About the positives.
No, I'm talking about like before I interrupted myself.
Oh no.
Yo, man, you not listening, man. These boys, they clown. Nah, so I was speaking on the school thing. So I was talking about the school. You really made me forget, man. It's time. All right, time anyway. I'm gonna pause. It's tough. Michael was he was better than at least 3 or 4 people on the team, right? So Michael come to tryouts, doing this thing, putting his work in. He's from New York City. Never made it, right? But the reason he wasn't making it is because we had those people that he was better than on the team, like they was really on the air before their GPA. So our team had to have a certain GPA in order to be eligible. So they kept them there just because they had good grades. It wouldn't matter about playing or nothing. It was like, yo, they got straight A's. They're bringing the team's GPA up, so we could play. Like, you know what I'm saying? So no matter, unless you Jordan coming out here, Kobe or somebody, like, unless you really a star, they not even worried about how good you are because they need those other people on that team, and they not gonna cut one of the other top guys. Like, they just not gonna do that because they already know the system and so on and so forth. Right? So, that's just crazy how that works. And that's when when I was even in my midst of being in college, it was like I was just looking at it like this shit is a joke. Like, what I'm saying? I don't really get it. But it does, like you said though, it does have positives. With the networking, that experience gave me an opportunity to meet a lot of people in different cities. So when I'm trying to do things in other places, like maybe if I wanted to open a business like in Chicago or something like that, I know people out there. I got a chance to meet a lot of people in different places. And then, outside of that, it's really, if you're not going to school to be like we said, like a doctor or something like that, I don't see the purpose of it.
I definitely learned how to live below my means.
Right, that part too.
In college,
that part.
College is literally survival mode. So, and actually that kind of helps you once you get out of college because you're going to hit that wall at some point where you just trying to figure stuff out. But in light of that, what would you say some negatives about? What's the negatives about, the school, the education system, or education in general?
I don't know where to start. Like, so to me, people really only go to college just because they feel like it's like an insurance policy. Like, all right, I'm gonna send my kids to college. I'm gonna go to college because I know if I go to college, I'm gonna get a good job. Most of them, they don't even know what they're going to school for. It's just like, yo, I'm just gonna go and figure it out when I get there.
Make my family proud.
Right, make my family proud. I'm just gonna go. Like, if you don't go, then you're gonna be looked at as a loser. You're gonna be looked at like, you know what I'm saying, like you don't know what you're doing. Your grandma's gonna be cussing you out. Like, so it's like people are gonna go just because they think it's the right thing to do, and they look at it as an insurance policy on their life. Like, all right, I'm gonna go to college, get my shit right. But at that same time, now you going to college, you getting this. I'm assuming like most people going on. I went on scholarship. Most people going on. They going on taking out loans and things like that. So you taking out crazy loans. It was one girl I was working with. Right, we making fucking $12 an hour, $13 an hour. She had $100,000 in debt from student loans. How? That's just crazy for you to go to school and get that type of debt from the rip before you even start life, before you even really get out there on your own. You got $100,000 in debt. You just starting off in the hole. Especially, I feel if you are a person of color that comes from the inner city, you already starting off in the hole anyway, just because of that. And then on top of that, you gonna go put the $100,000 in debt on top of it. It's just like, yo, it's like you really got to battle, you really got to fight in order to get yourself out of that situation.
Yeah, but you know what they call that? That's predatory lending. They giving out these loans to kids that they don't know if we ever gonna be able to pay back, or we're gonna be paying it back for the rest of our lives. It's amazing to me how you can get a loan with no job, to go to school, to get potentially a job that you in a field that you might not potentially work in.
Right. Probably,
you know,
probably ain't gonna work.
And if you get into that field, it's probably gonna take you about two to 4 or 5 years just to get into that field for you to actually be making some type of money.
About 5.
But you can have a business, and your business can be making money, and you try to go and get a loan. They tell you gotta make a certain amount for you to even get a loan.
They shoot your ass down.
Yeah, or you gotta have a certain credit score for you to get a loan.
Right.
You know, even if your business is a separate entity, we gotta think of alternative ways and be creative on even finding funding.
Right.
You know, if not we just gonna have to work for it. So that debt is a major factor. And then within our community as well, we don't really teach each other the pros and cons of things. So just like when I wanted to go to school, I wanted to play ball. Right. You know, my mom wanted me to get a trade. And, you know, as a kid, you know, growing in the inner city, you all we do is play sports. So that's what you really want to do. And she told me she wanted me to get a trade, but she never told me why. You know, so when she told me, I automatically thought she was tripping. You know, and you're not even giving me a reason of why you want me to get a trade. Now, if she would have broke it down like, well, you know, if you get a trade, you know, this is an in-demand field, you'll always be able to work. You won't be in debt, and you will be working in this field within a year or two, then I would have probably reconsidered it, you know, but it wasn't broken down to me like that, you know, and I think that's another big thing is weighing out the pros and cons, and if somebody, you know, does something or make a mistake, you know, that person actually learning from the mistake and actually asking them why they made the mistake in the first place, you know, instead of the punishment. And
well, I think to speak on that too, I think a lot of our parents, maybe our grandmothers or whoever you're going to school to make proud. Like I know for me personally, even when it came to playing ball, it was something that I liked to do. But for the most part, I was just doing it because I know it made my family proud. You know what I'm saying? Like when the first time I made the newspaper and the news and all that type of stuff, like I seen their face light up, and at that moment I was like, yo, I'm just going, I'm gonna go in. But on the same note, people go to school for, this to make their families happy, but you're not really doing it for yourself. But with that topic being said, like with that being said, like they come from different generations than we come from. Yeah. Like so back in the day, like when college and all that, like first, I'm not gonna say first started, but back in the day, I would say it was for people to get that type of education where you could be successful, they probably had to go to college. Now all of our information is at the tip of our fingers. Mm-hmm. Like whereas though back in the day, you probably really had to go to school in order to get that information. You really had to go to the library. I remember going to the library to have to read books and all. Like no, now you just go right to your phone, right to your laptop. All the information is at your fingertips. So now I feel like that's kind of making college not as much of a necessity as it was in the past. Mm-hmm. Like now you go on YouTube, you figure anything out on you. You learn, you build a whole life with enough YouTube videos.
You can build a house off of YouTube.
Right, you could build a house. I done fix cars. I done learned so much from doing YouTube. I done learned how to fix a few vending machines just from watching YouTube videos. Like so back in the day, like, that access wasn't there. So I feel like that's really where the push came from for people to go to school. Like it was like, you have to go there to get your education in order to have a better life. Now I don't believe it's that way. So yeah, but well, with that being said, I think another major issue is with these universities, a lot of them are actually funded by big companies. They're funded by the people who will be employing you. So the whole time you're going to school, it's like you're really being groomed to just be employed, to be a worker. Whether you go to school for business or whatever, it's just like, all right, well, you're going to go to school for business, but we're not going to teach you how to start a business. We're going to teach you how to run one of our businesses. Mm-hmm. We're going to teach you how to, get in there and figure out, what different markets are and, different marketing strategies so you can run one of our businesses. We're not really going to teach you how to do it for yourself. So, and another thing with the teachers, I would touch on that. Like, so I know I heard 50 Cent say in an interview, I think he was on the Breakfast Club. So he mentioned like, you know, the teachers who teach business, if they really knew that much about business, they'll be running their own business and not just sitting there, you know, teaching. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? So I think that's an important factor to look at too.
They basically teaching a system when you think about it. You know, we learning basically when you in school, you learning to take in information to be able to pass a test. Mm-hmm. The test is basically a standardized test, and the test is basically a level of how they think where you're at in proficiency on your education level.
Right.
You know, when I would say with me, I'm the prime example of a work smarter, not harder type of person. So, and I think that's a big thing with the millennials nowadays, and how I think we're kind of frowned upon from, you know, the generations above us, because we go with the alternative. Mm-hmm. You know, we seek for answers, and we figure out creative ways to make the same thing happen. So that's just like you might be doing something, and I might see you working, and you might be working extra hard on whatever you're doing. You know, if I can find a better way to do what you're doing, that's what I'm gonna do. Right. You know, versus me actually, you know, working hard. Mm-hmm. And that kind of goes to show you when it comes back to the testing standpoint, when they say, what's the motto? The people who earn A's work for. Mm-hmm. The people who get B's, and the C owners are the ones who run companies, and the people who get D's and grades are the one who basically clean the buildings of these companies. So it kind of goes back to that.
Yeah. I think, you know, if you're gonna go into that much debt, like from the rip, it's better off just to go. You can use that debt can be put toward starting a business. Like if your family is paying for your school and you're not getting a loan, I would ask for that money to really get out there and start something that you're interested in and figure it out. Let life teach you, like, because the school is not really gonna be able to teach you anything better than life is gonna teach you yourself. But yeah, I really agree with what you said. Like, I think when it comes to school, for me personally, I never really got A's and B's. I was never an A and B student, mainly because I was just never really interested on what was going on. I just think I never really applied myself that much, like, because I was never really interested in any subjects in school, like, so I really just always did enough to get by. And when I started playing basketball, started playing other sports, I just did enough to stay eligible, like, you know, for real. Like, I did whatever my bottom line was, I was just gonna stay above that bottom line. I really wasn't going too much past that. And I even had a coach that told me D's get degrees, like, and that was something he said, like, D's get degrees, like, so as long as you above that line, you still gonna get a degree. Like, it doesn't make a difference.
Get the same thing you get.
Right, I'm gonna get the same piece of paper you get. Whether you got A's and I got D's, we both passed. Yeah, we both passed. Yeah. Like, so, but to make my point, the kids who often get the A's and B's are often, to me, like, stuck. They often get stuck in a traditional way of thinking. Because if you always in that box at A and B, and you never really have a problem like learning or picking up anything, it's like, you know, you don't really have to think outside the box. But for the ones who struggle a little bit, who are not as interested in whatever is going on, they often have to think outside the box in order to get better grades, in order to pass, in order to focus. So that kind of builds up a skill. Mm-hmm. Like, it builds up a skill of creativeness. It builds up a skill of thinking outside the box, and that can be applied in the real world. So once they get out in the real world, it's like, all right, well, now they're creative. Maybe them kids that get A's and B's, all right, they're getting scholarships. Maybe them C's and D's, they don't. You know, now you go out into the real world, all right, you working, you ain't making no money, but you going to think outside the box of other ways to, you know, to bring money in, to get by, or to feed your family, whatever it may be, and you end up starting your own thing. So you start your own thing, you build it up or whatever, and now you build it up high enough, you end up hiring the people who was getting the A's and the B's. Exactly. You know what I'm saying? And then your D's come in when they cleaning the building. Like, you know what I'm saying? So that's just how it go. I think the people who, you know, who get those high grades, you know, they're smart or whatever, but it's like, you know, they're more so just on the traditional wave, and they will always be, they could definitely do their own thing too. But I just think they'll always be seeked after by jobs and by companies because the companies are the one who are funding these schools, and they really want those kids who are doing well in the systems that they set up for them.
Yeah.
Like, so they don't really, the other ones who reject it just have to figure the shit out on their own, but they're going to end up finding, the successful ones will end up finding out how to do things outside the box, and that's when you get your people like the motherfuckers who create Amazon, who create whoever created what's the hotel, John? Airbnb, like all these people are really thinking outside the box. They don't own that's the big one of the if that's not the biggest. I know it's one of the biggest hotel companies. They don't own not one hotel. Like, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. Same thing with Amazon. Same thing with Uber. Like, you know what I'm saying? All these companies like really that's really thinking outside the box. You ain't got no real estate, but you got 40,000 hotels. Like, you got 1 million hotels. It is. You really had to think outside the box to do that.
And go ahead. And that's not a problem. I mean, if you were one of those ones, this is not no knock on anybody because
right.
We form a society, so we all need each other in some capacity. But we just trying to let y'all know that creators are the ones who run the world. Creators are the ones who are industry disruptors, and who basically those people work for.
Right. You can't be scared. You can't be scared to be outside of that box. You can't be scared to step outside of tradition. Yeah. Because that's where it's at.
And that traditional mindset it kind of limits the creative thinkers because it tries to tell us that we only supposed to do, this one way. We only do this one thing one way, and that's totally untrue. As you look at some of the most successful people, the most richest people in this world, don't have degrees or
dropped out of school.
Mm-hmm. We don't watch YouTube videos on the top 10 most successful, richest people in the world and how they, made comments on how the education system, how you don't need that to become a successful entrepreneur.
So, let me ask you this: I have kids. He has kids. Would you want your kids to go to school?
I've been trying to go back and forth on this for a while, and I will say probably up until I would say middle school, maybe high school, because they still need to learn the basics, and then from there I feel like I can kind of teach them anything they really need to know about life, and that's how I feel about it. And the way the world is going right now, we might be getting to a point where we all might be having to homeschool our kids anyway. So that'd be better for me at the end of the day. Mm-hmm. What about you?
When it comes to my kids, I mean that's something I really went back and forth in my mind about a lot. Like, if it depends why they're going. So I feel like if they're going to be, like I said earlier, if they're going to be a doctor or they want to go be something like you really have to go to school for, like you couldn't teach yourself, then I would support it. If they want to play a sport, like they want to play basketball, you want to play football or something, or you want that experience, I support it. But if you just going and you just gonna try to go and figure something out, nah, it don't make no sense. Like, especially in my family, like I'm gonna put you in a position where you could be successful. You just gotta tell me what you want to do. Mm-hmm. But as young people, a lot of young people just don't know what they want. But I don't think you have to go to school and really, put yourself in a bad position in order just to figure out what you want. Now, if you go to school for free and you want scholarship and all that stuff, go ahead. Like, I'm not going to stop that. But if it's like you just forcing it, I wouldn't let them force it. Like, I'll definitely revisit that. Like, you know what I'm saying? When I get there, to that point, I got some years. I got some years to go. Yeah. But it'd be an interesting topic once I get that far. But with that being said, what do you feel is key? What do you feel is key when it comes to education?
This is kind of a tough question. As far as education, you have to be you basically gotta be a sponge.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you have to want to learn. You know, you have to want to better yourself, and you can't be scared to do so.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I suffer from this myself. You know, and I might see somebody that's online that might be promoting a course or a program of something that I'm currently doing.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and it kind of, I wouldn't say, it kind of scares me, you know, because I don't know to what capacity the information they're providing, you know, when any information is good information, you know, because it's something that you didn't know beforehand.
When you say it scares you like as far as like you invested into it, or
yeah. I would say invested into it, yeah, and spending any type of money into it,
mm-hmm.
or honestly wasting my time.
Right,
Because time is valuable at this point, you know, and I really value my time and what I put my effort, you know, my effort towards.
Right. I know for example, I know it was a real estate class we was looking at by a popular guy like
mm-hmm.
in our city. We was thinking about going to that, but I was like, I don't want to go if I'm really not going to learn nothing. Like, cause I don't know. I definitely don't know everything about it. You know, not by far. Like I know a lot. You know, I know enough to get by. Like, you know, probably a little more than the average person. But I don't have the experience like that. Like, and that's really what you learn from. You're gonna learn from the experience. You can read a million books. It ain't, you know, like we said, like it ain't about the books. It's like really about the life experiences. Ain't nothing gonna teach you like that. But my thing is, I just didn't want to invest if it's only going to be what I didn't read in that book. Like that's easy. I can do that on my own.
Cause honestly, most people, you know, you have people out here that's selling information, and they don't tell the full story.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they don't tell the full background of how they actually was able to accomplish what they accomplished. Like really went step by step. You know, really the trials and tribulations. That's, you know, that's what we trying to sit here and talk to you guys about.
Yeah.
We talking to y'all about every step of the way. You know, falls, gains, wherever we went wrong, what we did to kind of help us, what didn't work, what did work.
Right.
But a lot of people don't be telling that point. They'll tell a success part. They'll tell a
right.
slight, you know, something, an event they might have went through, and then from there, oh, they just took off. When it never happens like that.
Right.
You know.
I think like I know, especially like with the course like we offer is I give my experiences. Like I had one person write me and say, you know, well, you know, I read something that you said like in the course. I read it somewhere, or maybe it was a book. It could have been an ebook or something. Like I read it somewhere, so why would I have to pay for it? You know. So my thing is like, which you're paying for with some people when it comes to that stuff is the experience, right? You can find information anywhere. Like you can find a lot of information anywhere, right on your phone, right on your laptop. You can find a lot of info, but that don't mean it's right. Like, so there's a lot of different information out there. If you're going to learn from somebody who's actually doing it, learn from somebody who's been through it, you know what I'm saying, and make sure it's worth it. Because a lot of people just, you know, with those seminars and stuff like that, you'll go, and then it's be like, all right, well, they give you a little bit, and then they make you pay to go to another one, and they give you a little bit more, and they make you pay. Like, nobody wants to do all that. Like, just give me the info. Like, you know what I'm saying? If you're not going to do that, then why are we even here? Why are you wasting our time? But I would say, and it's, when it comes to education, I think the main education that's important is self-education. Self-education is key, like, because at the end of the day, no matter how, you know, how much school or education you have, nothing is going to, you know, be a better teacher in life. Nobody's going to teach you like you could teach yourself. Like, you really got to get out here and, you know, read books that apply to what you're trying to do. So even with college, they make you take, I know for me personally, I had to take my whole first year, maybe my first 2 years, I had to take shit I wasn't even going to school for.
Electives.
Yeah, I just had to take all this extra stuff for no reason.
Yeah.
Well, this has nothing, this geometry, all this has nothing to do with what I'm here for.
You only in class, what, probably a year and a
yeah,
half?
It's really on like your last year where you really going to, you know what I'm saying, what you actually are there for. Yeah. Like, and it's crazy. But that's my thing. Like, if you just go get some self-education, you could beat her all around. You know, you cut all the extra fat off and get right to the, you know what I'm saying, right to the nitty gritty.
Right to the bone.
Right to the bone. Like you can waste a lot of time just going the traditional route. Whereas though you could go get self-educated, grind it out, figure it out, and really get into that situation yourself. No matter what type of business you're trying to start or whatever it is you're trying to do, and really be successful versus just wasting your time or wasting years. I feel like, you know, with traditional school, if there's really no point of you going. I think one last thing, I think I read 79%, about 80% of rich people read for self-development. So that means about, you know, 20% of you know, of read only for you know, entertainment or whatever that may be. So that's really speaking volumes, because if that many of them are reading for self-development, that's telling you that's one of the keys to why those people are in the position that they're in.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you really gotta get out here and educate yourself. What else you got?
I don't have nothing from this episode.
Alright, so we're gonna wrap it up, man. Make sure anybody's interested in starting a vending business, or you're interested in getting into any business in general. Maybe you want to learn how you know, the people reach the 1%. Check out our ebooks. Check out the course. Use code podcast to get 15% off. That way we know you came from our podcast. All right, so check it out. See y'all next time on the next episode. Any recommendations of topics you want us to talk about, make sure you leave them in the comments, and we'll be in touch.
Y'all take it easy.